Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Midar Gavelazi, and coming up in today's newscast. 3 Israelis killed and others critically wounded in a terrorist stabbing and car ramming attack in Judea and Samaria. 120 Israeli parliamentarians sworn in today. ILTV breaks down Israel's 25th Knesset. And the Tinder Swindler strikes again, this time in Israel. What are the latest allegations against him? Three Israelis murdered and at least 3 more left in serious condition following a terrorist stabbing and car ramming attack Tuesday morning. ILTV's Aaron Porras reporting.
A shock to the nation Tuesday morning as a Palestinian terrorist murders 3 Israelis and critically injures at least 3 more in Judea and Samaria. The attacks committed in 2 locations just outside the Ariel industrial zone in Judea and Samaria and then along the nearby highway. While the exact sequence of events is still unclear as of this writing, reports indicating that the Palestinian man stabbing and seriously wounding a security guard near the entrance to the Industrial Park gas station when the guard had his back turned. This before fleeing to the Tan gas station and stabbing 3 more individuals, 2 fatally. The terrorist then fled in an apparently stolen car, which he subsequently used to run over another Israeli at an intersection, killing him, and soon after the terrorist crashing into another car. He then gets out of his vehicle, attacked a nearby driver, stole a second car, before driving against traffic to escape IDF forces. It's at this point that the terrorist reportedly caused an accident, crashing into another car, critically injuring the driver, a man in his 50s. He then exited the disabled vehicle and fled before finally being neutralized by security forces. Initial reports indicating 2 terrorists in separate attacks, but authorities later clarifying that the second suspect was actually another victim. Further, the terrorist later identified as an 18-year-old from the village of Kharz, and he reportedly had permits to enter Israel to go to work at a branch for Intel. But he is also affiliated with the Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas's Fatah party, as is the terrorist's father, who was recently released from prison where he served time on terror-related charges. Samaria Regional Council head Yossi Dagan therefore saying the Palestinian Authority and its chairman, President Mahmoud Abbas, are directly to blame for this and other recent attacks due to the PA's continued incitement and financial incentivization for terror against Israelis. Right-wing lawmaker Itamar Ben-Gvir, meanwhile, soon expected to take up the role of public security minister, vowing to use a heavy hand in order to clamp down on the ongoing wave of terror attacks that until now have left over 26 Israelis murdered this year.
And joining us now with more on the latest terror attack is Ron Ben-Ishai, security affairs commentator for Hebrew Daily Yediot Ahronot. Thank you for joining us. A very sad day. We've been in the midst of Operation Breaking the Wave for some time now, and yet we are still seeing terror attacks like the one today. What are we still not doing to prevent these attacks once and for all?
It's very difficult, if not impossible, to prevent it. Because usually it is a single perpetrators who doesn't work in a framework of an organization or some kind of a group that you can have early notices about the upcoming terror attack. Usually it is him and his internal thinking that decides when it will happen, and then he takes a knife from his mother's kitchen and goes to attack Israelis.
Ron, today marks the inauguration of the 25th Knesset with a new right-wing majority, and they are calling for much stricter measures against terrorists, including easing of the rules of engagement. I mean, do you think that this is a potential solution?
No, I don't think it will change the potential solution. One thing it can change, that it will make the terrorists more sophisticated and plan better, not act by, some uncontrolled urge to kill people, but to plan better so they can execute it. You must understand it's very difficult to deter. You change the rules of engagement. That means that they might kill you. He's ready to be killed. All of them are killed. So when they go to do it, they know already in advance that they might get killed. And that is why any rule of engagement or easing the rules of engagement will cause more wounded and maybe killed by innocent civilians around them than by the perpetrators. The terrorists are ready in these cases, in all these cases, were ready to die. Usually they even leave behind them some post in the social media or a video or a letter that is telling that why they are doing, etc., etc. These people, they are suicide perpetrators. How can you deter them?
Ron Ben-Ishai, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you.
And now, in a relatively rare move by the United States, the U.S. Department of Justice intends to launch an investigation into the death of Palestinian Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akleh. The move sparking outrage in Israel, as the IDF has already conducted an investigation and views this decision as interference in the country's internal affairs. The details in the following report. Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz released a statement Monday evening calling the decision taken by the U.S. Justice Department to conduct an investigation into the death of Palestinian journalist Shireen Abu Akleh a mistake, and said Israel would not cooperate with an external investigation. Gantz said that the IDF had already conducted a professional, independent investigation, which was presented to American officials with whom the details were shared. He added that the IDF will not enable intervention to internal investigations. Israel's Channel 14 initially reported that the U.S. officials updated their Israeli counterparts about their intentions to launch a probe, likely by the Federal Bureau of Investigation earlier this month. Abu Akleh, an Al Jazeera reporter, was shot to death last May during clashes between Israeli troops and Palestinian gunmen in Jenin. Her death caused worldwide speculation as to which side was responsible for her shooting, with the IDF launching an investigation finding that she was likely shot by mistake by an Israeli soldier responding to Palestinian gunfire. The Palestinian Authority and Abu Akleh's family have, however, insisted that the IDF intentionally targeted and killed her. The U.S. decision represents a slap in the face to Israel's defense establishment and a reversal from the Biden administration's initial stance that it would not open its own investigation. And now, after 5 serial elections in fewer than 4 years, a stable government in Israel may finally be on the horizon. 120 parliamentarians in the 25th Knesset being inaugurated today. 120 members of Israel's 25th Knesset sworn in on Tuesday, heralding a new right-wing and religious majority, as talks for the formation of the 37th government led by Prime Minister-designate Benjamin Netanyahu come to an impasse. The 25th Knesset has 23 newcomers, of which 7 are from the Likud and another 7 from the religious Zionism party. Female representation in this Knesset will see 29 women, down from 36 in the 24th Knesset. Only 9 women among the right-wing and religious bloc, with no representation among the ultra-Orthodox parties, and 20 women in the center-left bloc. Meanwhile, representation of the Arab minority shrinking down to 10 seats, primarily due to low voter turnout in the Arab sector and a split among the Arab parties. Netanyahu had hoped to announce the formation of a new government at the inauguration. He was tasked earlier this week by President Yitzhak Herzog with the formation of the new government. However, coalition talks have reportedly stalled, mainly over far-right religious Zionism MK Bezalel Smotrich's demands for the senior defense ministry post. Reports indicating that the Biden administration putting immense pressure on Netanyahu not to appoint such an extreme right figure to the sensitive post, which requires tremendous cooperation with the U.S. defense establishment. Netanyahu has until December 11th to form a new government, with political analysts estimating the coalition will come together long before then. And now we are joined by strategic consultant and member of the Likud Central Committee, Dor Harlap. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So the 25th Knesset being sworn in today, an exciting day. What are the main challenges that will face this Knesset?
So I believe that this Knesset will have a few challenges. First of all, in the last few years, because we had such crazy situations, there were many basic rules that have been changed. We had 2 prime ministers in the last few years, and the power of small parties was much more than it used to be. I believe that it's a great challenge that we will have right now, and also the Norwegian law that makes that bring us to have gets us to have more parliament members, which doesn't have much power as the usual Chaver Knesset parliament member has. I believe that in the last few weeks we will see how Yariv Levin is leading the coalition in a way to change the way that we govern today. Interesting to see that which ministries Bezalel Smotrich and Aryeh Deri will receive because they have not so many mandates. But if we will take a look on the last 2 years, 4 years, we see that if you get so many mandates, you can get the most.
So let's talk about this new coalition that's forming, the
Yes.
coalition negotiations. Everyone thought this was going to be a piece of cake. Netanyahu finally has his dream right-wing government. Why is it taking so long to form?
First of all, I'm not sure that this is Netanyahu's dream. I know that it's his voters' dream. Okay, that's a little bit different. But I believe that many of the people in the right wing feel like many of their wishes and their ideologies were being set aside in the last few years. And now they have this amazing opportunity to make them possible in the real world. So they want to see how they make it happen. I'll take again Bezalel Smotrich as an example. He believes that, all of the situation in Judea and Samaria, Yehuda v'Shomron, should be changed, okay? And he wants to get tools to do that. Now, it's not that easy. It's a process that should be happening in, I don't know, a few years, not so many. I believe we should do the same, but it takes a while, and now he feels that he has the opportunity, and that's his chance. He doesn't know what we're going to have in 3 or 4 or 5 years if we're going to have the same situation again.
And now, the latest news coming out of the Likud is that Aryeh Deri might be given the position of defense minister. What is the thought process here? It seems a bit of a mismatch, especially considering the fact that the majority of his constituents don't even serve in the IDF.
I believe that Aryeh Deri, even if he has a great experience sitting in the cabinet, I believe that today he's been sitting in the most cabinet meetings among all the other ministers to be. But still, I don't think it's relevant for him to be defense minister.
And yet Netanyahu supposedly, reportly offered him this position.
We see a lot. First of all, he has 11 seats. Netanyahu he can't just do whatever he wants. His coalition is making him do things. There he says, "Hey guys, I got 11 seats. I would like to get what I should get for 11 seats." Now Bezalel also saying the same thing. So Netanyahu here is.
But doesn't Deri want the finance ministry, the interior ministry?
First of all,
Smotrich clearly after the defense ministry.
Smotrich clearly, from what I see, wants to be the finance minister. Okay, but he's being pushed away for many reasons. I believe that he will be a great finance minister. But Aryeh Deri, I believe, should take something like he used to do until now, to be interior affairs minister. I used to work with his team and also a little bit with him when I was a political advisor in the Knesset. They did a great job. They are very good at this, and maybe to take transportation, which is very important to his voters, okay? Because many of them use public transportation, and I believe that this is an issue that you need a strong minister to make some changes. So if Aryeh Deri will take to himself interior affairs and transportation, I believe this is a fair deal. It's very interesting to speak about Ron Dremer. I don't know if you...
Right, there's reports that he's being offered the foreign minister. What can you tell us about that?
So I believe that Ron Dremer is able to be a great foreign affairs minister. He was a fantastic
Has the experience,
ambassador
clearly,
in
yes.
Washington. Everybody knows in the world that he and Netanyahu have close relationship. And also, he can be a good face for us among leaders in the world. And he can continue to push the momentum from Abraham's Accord towards many other peace process and strengthening our relations with many countries in the world. So I believe this is a great idea.
We'll see, I think, in the coming days, in the coming weeks for sure,
What's gonna
until
be.
the December 11th deadline.
Very interesting to see.
Doe Halep, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you very much.
And now, the wife of far-right Otzma Yehudit party leader Itamar Ben-Gvir has stirred up some controversy on Monday after she brought her firearm to a get-together in a Jerusalem hotel. First Lady-designate Sarah Netanyahu hosted the wives of the prospective coalition partners for a bonding event at Jerusalem's Waldorf Astoria. In a photograph released of the women, Ayala Ben-Gvir is seen with her gun in a holster around her waist, prompting backlash. But Ben-Gvir was not fazed by the haters and replied on Twitter saying, "I live in Hebron, am a mother of 6 sweet children, and travel through terror-infested roads, and am married to my husband, who is the most threatened man in the country. And yes, I have a gun. Deal with it." The photo also stirred up controversy over the modest and religious outfits worn by the women, with many secular and left-leaning critics saying it represents an omen of the extreme right-wing and religious direction the country is taking. And in other news, Iran now claiming that it has built a new hypersonic ballistic missile system with rockets that can reach Israel in 400 seconds. That's the bold headline in Iran's Sobi Sadek newspaper, which published the threat in Hebrew on its front page on Monday. It should be noted that Iran has a history of dubious or exaggerated claims about weapons capabilities. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard statement says the weapon can pass through and target enemy defense systems and maneuver both inside and outside the atmosphere. They describe the new missile as a game changer that can avoid most air defense systems. True hypersonic missiles can fly at least 5 times faster than the speed of sound. They can also fly on a complex trajectory, making them difficult to intercept. In the aftermath of the signing of the Abraham Accords, there has been a gradual normalization of relations between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. And so, in a sign of the times, a first-ever commemoration of the 84th anniversary of Kristallnacht was held in Dubai. ILTV's Steve Leibowitz reports.
Dubai is not the location one would think of when planning a Kristallnacht memorial. The Let There Be Light ceremony was the first Holocaust-related commemoration held in the United Arab Emirates. Simultaneous memorial events were held in Jerusalem, Vienna, and Dubai, where the event was held in the prestigious Crossroads of Civilizations Museum. Holocaust survivor Eve Kugler made the trip to Dubai from her home in Great Britain for a rare opportunity to recall her memories in an Arab country.
This unprecedented and shocking action foreshadowed the countless pogroms and the mass murder of Jewish men, women, and children that was to follow and was the Holocaust. That is why this date, November 9th, is so important. It is, as of today, also important because it is the first time that a Holocaust survivor, myself, is able to speak to Muslim and Jewish children together and to speak to all of you in an Arab country. It is a very important occasion.
The events marking Kristallnacht, or Night of the Broken Glass, commemorate the November 1938 pogrom, when hundreds of synagogues were burned across Germany, thousands of Jewish-owned businesses were damaged or destroyed by Nazi vandals, and about 100 Jews were murdered, marking a key juncture in the evolution of mass genocide of the Jews carried out by Nazi Germany during World War II. Many UAE officials and dignitaries attended the event.
Today, we commemorate the 84th year of the tragic night that called the Kristallnacht. And we are proud to be able to host it today here with all of you. Today in the Middle East, in the Islamic and the heart of the Arab world, we commemorate the victims of the Kristallnacht night.
The International March of Living sponsored the event aimed to commemorate the past and to raise awareness of the current atmosphere of intolerance, prejudice, and racism that exists in the world today.
An historic event. Inflation is a major concern in Israel, and an announcement by the dairy giant Tnuva of new price hikes has raised alarm bells among consumers. Aaron Porras with the report.
Tnuva plans to increase prices on non-governmental controlled dairy products by an average of 4.7%. The price increase due to take effect on November 22nd.
The food in the supermarket is so high, and the milk, the bread. I have 3 children, and it's a problem for me to pay it.
Continuing price hikes are becoming a growing concern for many in Israel who felt the pinch of the increasing cost of living.
You know, the living cost in Israel is very expensive. For example, I'm a lawyer in Israel. My wife, she's a social worker. We both work morning till afternoon, and our salary is going for food, for fruits, for living, for rent, for everything. We cannot make money.
The impact is evident in the cost of everyday items, with the price of bread going up nearly 30% earlier this year. In July, the government issuing measures to limit prices on certain basic goods, which did manage to partially curtail costs. But these steps can do little to stem the overall price rises in other goods.
Costs are rising throughout the economy. Food, materials, gas, pretty much every commodity that we purchase and buy, the costs are rising. Our average earnings relative to the cost is not as good. In other words, at the end of a month, many of the average Israelis can't finish the month without an overdraft.
As the new Knesset is today swearing in, the question many Israelis are asking is, what will our leaders do to keep down the rising prices?
Simon Levayev, also known as the Tinder Swindler, once again making headlines, this time in Israel, for allegedly conning yet another woman. The details in the following report. A 20-year-old Israeli woman filed a complaint on Monday against Simon Levayev, known as the Tinder Swindler from Netflix's popular crime documentary. Israeli news site Ynet reported that the young woman claims Levayev, whose real name is Shimon Chayut, convinced her that the allegations presented in the documentary were false and then conned her out of large sums of money. The woman said she met Levayev several months ago and the two became friends. She said that she had watched the Netflix documentary about him, but that he presented her with documents that convinced her beyond a doubt that he was wrongly accused. According to the police complaint, the woman said she told Levayev she was interested in buying a new BMW car, which Levayev said he could purchase at a discount. Levayev then reportedly told the woman she should make some big transactions in her bank account so the bank would in turn offer her larger loans. Ynet reported that the woman also said Levayev instructed her to issue off-bank credit cards and take out loans through them. The woman said these credit cards were held by Levayev and that he used them without her knowledge. The woman claims she transferred several large payments to Levayev for the car through loans she managed to acquire, totaling some 400,000 shekels or $115,000. In the end, according to the report, she received the vehicle of her dreams, only to find out it was foreclosed and belonged to someone else, with Levayev asking her to return the car to him. The woman said Levayev then threatened that he would turn her over to the police for stealing the car. The complaint follows a similar MO to the cons Levayev ran on several women that are detailed in the Netflix documentary. Levayev issued a response to the Ynet report saying that he filed a complaint about his car being stolen and denied ever buying the woman a vehicle. He said, "I'm not a car dealer. I gave her some counseling and was demonized for it. It's all a lie." And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Both tonight and tomorrow, the forecast calling for a mix of partly cloudy skies and scattered showers around the country. Then this evening, a drop in temperatures, seeing an average low of about 13 degrees Celsius or 55 Fahrenheit. And then tomorrow, the average high expected to be about 22 Celsius or 72 degrees Fahrenheit. That's all for today's news. For more updates from Israel on all your devices, check out our ILTV channels on YouTube, Facebook, and Telegram, and subscribe to our ILTV newsletter. I'm the Jargave Lazi. Be well, and thank you so much for watching.